You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, Osterville hosts the Human Library.
Plus, Dana Center for Active Living holds an open house.
And a Yarmouth cranberry bog pushes back on a town's plan to build a pumping station.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News.
Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Maxie Davidson. Last weekend, the Osterville Village Library hosted their annual Human Library event. Members of the public were invited to come have conversations with human books in hopes of finding common ground with people from all walks of life. We stopped by to learn more about what this experience means for the participants.
I'm representing non-binary, specifically coming out non-binary in my mid-40s.
Social justice poet.
The Brazilian immigrant community. I'm a caregiver.
Anti-Semitism.
Okay. The Armenian genocide, the Armenian community.
Okay.
Because genocide is far too negative, and it didn't stop. The Armenian culture didn't stop with the attempt to rid the world of Armenians.
I wrote a book called Living While Dying, and the purpose behind it was there's not a lot of stories out there on how men deal with the living with prostate cancer.
Being here, I'm able to actually talk about things, and I've learned so much. It wasn't just giving my story out, but finding out with other people saying, hey, I've been through this, or something similar. They're asking questions. It was a learning process for me, too.
When we sit down and have these conversations, we find the commonalities in each and every one of us, right? So the way I might be feeling is the way they may be feeling, or it causes us to ask the question, well, what am I doing? How do I use my voice?
I tried to prepare myself for the kinds of questions I might get, and failed spectacularly. I didn't think of some of the really, really obvious ones, like, I've never heard of that before. Like, what's that? Like, oh, right, yeah, of course. Like, I didn't think anyone would want to sit down and talk to me if they, hadn't even heard of it.
This year is a little more because of the Middle East crisis that's going on, and how Israel and Gaza and Lebanon, and the questions are related to this. But anti-Semitism didn't start this past year. Anti-Semitism was here from the Middle Ages.
People ask, it must suck to have cancer, right? And I said, well, yeah, it does. However, there's a gift here, and that gift is what you just asked about, right? That gift for me was to stop for a moment and ask the question, who am I? What am I? And am I what I want to be? Right? Because at 22 years old, you may start down this path, and at 6, and who asked that question again until death is knocking on the doorknob, right? They don't. So I have found, now that I've stopped and asking those questions, a great deal of clarity about what's important in life, right? What's important to me, and I'm not trying to cast my thoughts onto anyone else, but the question was asked, can someone learn who is not terminally ill from these books? And the answer is yes.
I did not grow up in an Armenian community. I grew up in Boston, in Dorchester, and my neighbors were Greek, Jewish, and Asian, and Italian and Irish. We were the true mixing pot, that corner of Wheatland Ave and Whittier Street. Millett Street and Wheatland Ave. And we learned how to take care of each other and enjoy each other's food, enjoy each other's the differences. And there's a a message there. What went on there and how much, support we gave each other. There's a message there that
We're missing a lot of
we're,
that
we're
these
missing
days.
a lot of it.
I think the internet.
And I think that's what Ms. Cook and Amy wanted to bring out here with this. That even though you're in a struggle, you've got a story to tell. And that story can make a difference in our community. Just keep talking. Just keep conversing. Keep connecting.
Check out our YouTube page in the coming weeks for a more in-depth video on this event.
The Seaview in Dennisport is hosting the Hubard Family Fundraiser on November 3rd. From 1 to 4 p.m., bid on auction items, enter raffles, and enjoy food donated from local restaurants. All proceeds from this event will go to the Hubard family to support them after the tragic loss of Shannon and Maggie Hubard. Tickets are on sale now and can be found at wearehubbardstrong.com.
The Barnstable County Department of Health is warning parents that pertussis is on the rise. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when masking was widely practiced, cases of pertussis, also known as whooping cough, dramatically decreased to about 1 case per year in Barnstable County. Unfortunately, 10 cases of pertussis have been documented this year on the Cape. The Department of Health recommends making sure you and your children are vaccinated against pertussis to stop the spread of this nasty bacterial infection. To learn more about whooping cough, you can find the Department of Health's website at capecod.gov.
A dispute is brewing in the town of Yarmouth over the proposed construction of a pump station for a wastewater treatment project near a local cranberry bog. Tensions have risen, with accusations of misinformation, environmental concerns, and eminent domain issues. An update was given at this week's Select Board meeting.
First and foremost, folks need to know there are going to be no eminent domain takings, really, that we're aware of any properties in that area, let alone the cranberry bog. And
that was Yarmouth Town Administrator Bob Rittenauer assuring the public that the cranberry bog itself won't be affected by the project. However, Chris Wilson, the bog's operator, tells a different story. He claims that while the bog wasn't directly taken, part of the adjacent parking lot was acquired through eminent domain. Wilson alleges that the land was purchased under questionable circumstances, impacting his access to the bog and business operations. Wilson argues that the original landowners refused to sell, leading the town to use eminent domain to secure the property. In a written statement, Wilson said, "The town upped the trade agreement from covering the cost of hookup to a more acceptable market value. The original owners refused to sell the land, so in the verbiage to obtain the funding, eminent domain was definitely used." Another point of contention is the relocation of Wilson's farm stand. Rittenauer claimed that Wilson had expressed an interest in moving, with the town offering to assist.
We've met in my office. I met with the bog's operator, and he's indicated, I think, one concern that he has is he'd like to move and expand his pop-up trailer cranberry sales location at some point in the future. And the town is working with him.
This is a completely false statement. I merely said that I would consider moving if the town is willing to cover the costs, estimated above $50,000. Additionally, multiple times, Mr. Rittenauer referred to my stand as a pop-up location, a bit insulting as I am a seasonal business operating 3 months a year with plans to expand into the summer months. Are seasonal restaurants and ice cream shops pop-ups? There are also questions about the environmental impact. Rittenauer says that the project will protect both the cranberry bog and the environment. Wilson, however, has raised alarms over the condition of the retaining wall between the properties and fears an overflow into the bog. To protect the environment and the bogs is another blatant lie. Corners were cut, and the plan clearly states otherwise to his statement. Wilson has accused Rittenauer of being dishonest and lacking transparency throughout the process. Despite the disagreement, the town insists that the wastewater project will not interfere with the cranberry bog operations.
anything that the town's doing for wastewater should in no way interfere with any bog operations. There's plenty of room to peacefully coexist out there and to protect the environment with that much-needed wastewater system, as well as protect the cranberry bog.
Wilson responded with, Mr. Rittenauer states no impacts to the agricultural land, yet, clear as it can be, an emergency spillway is in place allowing the overflow to go directly into the bog's property. The town put out a statement yesterday echoing the same points made by Mr. Rittenauer on Tuesday.
Clean water begins with you. The town of Dennis would like to remind residents that we can do our part this season by keeping fallen leaves out of the streets. Blowing leaves and grass clippings into the street leaches nutrients into storm water runoff, contributing to pollution in our waters. Leaf litter can also plug storm drains and increase flooding. Instead, consider mulching or composting yard waste or dispose at your local landfill.
The Chatham Health Department has been awarded a Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection grant. The town will receive 5 air quality sensors under the Massachusetts Air Sensor Grant Program. These tools will detect and map particulate matter, one of the pollutants that negatively impacts air quality. Data from the sensors will be posted on a real-time map featuring data collected from air quality monitors across Massachusetts. You can access this map at purpleair.com.
Arable Recreation's winter program brochure is online now, with offerings like baking and snack making, building a bev and skiff, coding classes, and winter crafts. You won't want to miss registration beginning on November 6th. To check out all of the programs offered this winter, head to townofbarnstable.us/departments/recreation.
Starting in June 2025, American Airlines will offer seasonal, nonstop service from Cape Cod Gateway Airport to Chicago and Philadelphia. Flights to Philadelphia will be available every day during the summer season, while Chicago flights will only be available on Saturdays. American Airlines will also be continuing their service to New York and Washington, D.C.
Barnstable County has received the prestigious Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. Received for the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year 2023, this award is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting. Congratulations to Barnstable County's Director of Finance, Carol Coppola, and her team.
Coming up after the break, the Dennis Senior Center Open House. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News.
The Dennis Center for Active Living is a great place for residents to come together and get involved in their community, providing many opportunities to socialize and build relationships. Earlier this week, DeCal held an open house and invited the public to check out the facility and see what the center has to offer.
I think Brenda Vasquez is a visionary. I love what she's done with the place, the physical space, as well as how it feels when you walk in and seeing so many different diverse people and everyone coming together to learn and to try to talk about how we can age a little more gracefully or how we can be able to provide better support services to people that are caregivers or people that are living and dealing with cognitive loss. So I thought today's presentation was excellent.
Today's talk was to look at the very fundamentals of the elements of cultures called blue zone cultures in the world that they were practicing in their daily lives as part of their culture that resulted in their longevity and wellness. These are cultures that live for 90s and 100s on an average, right? So the idea is to kind of look at what does this data show in terms of the commonality among those cultures.
I've been waiting for this day for a while. I know they had to move the event back a couple times, so I've been really looking forward to it and glad that it's finally here. And I've heard a lot about the renovations they've done here, and it looks fantastic.
It's something that works for any stage. The title of today's presentation was Healthy and Vibrant Living in Every Stage in Life. And so that the Blue Zones diet, when we apply it, at a younger age, it helps to prevent the illnesses, right? And then at a later stage, when we apply it, it helps to mitigate the damage and the symptoms we feel from it. And it also helps to improve the function, better ability to move and do things, even with the disease. And in some instances, you can even have a very good control and even reversing some of the diseases. So
I would say these open houses are a great way to make community. We have to do some things that will reduce our isolation, increase our social engagement, and coming to an open house when you have great food, incredible music, a lot of camaraderie, and talk to your director, Brenda Vasquez, and be able to talk about what your needs are as a senior living in Dennis or living in another town, what's available for you. I would invite you out next time.
On November 2nd, the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office and the Harwich Police Department are hosting the first ever Cape Cod Public Safety Mobile Polar Plunge. This event will benefit the Massachusetts Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics. If you're interested in supporting this cause, head to fundraise.specialolympicsma.org.
South Yarmouth Library joins the Cape Cod Astronomical Society for a presentation of amateur astronomy on Cape Cod. The lecture will be held on Wednesday, October 30th at 5 p.m., followed by a live observation, weather permitting. All are welcome and registration is not required.
Can't get enough stargazing? Also on the 30th, the Osterville Village Library will be at Dowses Beach for astronomy night starting at 7 p.m. See if you can locate Saturn with a telescope. For more information, contact Amy Wolf at awolf@clamsnet.org.
Superintendent Sarah Ahern and Principal Beth Forbes are eager to announce that Barnstable West Barnstable Elementary School is partnering with Belonging Books to host visiting authors and promote a culture of belonging for all students. Over the course of the school year, 4 local Cape Cod authors will visit students in grades K through 3 to read their books aloud and lead writing, illustration, and storytelling workshops. Happy reading, BWB!
Sharks. Friend or foe? Join Jada Elcock, a PhD student and shark researcher, as she debunks myths and reveals the fascinating world of shark superpowers. On November 2nd at 2 p.m., Jada will be at Cotuit Library to share her cutting-edge research, stunning visuals, and personal stories about studying sharks up close. You can learn more and sign up for this event at cotuitlibrary.libcal.com.
Are you still planning your Halloween festivities? Walk the Harwich Halloween Trail. At this free, kid-friendly event, trick or treat at spooky spots all over town. Locations that will be passing out candy include the Harwich Community Center, the First Congregational Church, the Harwich Port Library, the Harwich Chamber of Commerce, Special Friends Cafe, and many more. For a full list of participating businesses, head to harwichcc.com. Have you ever wished you could draw? Well, there's no time like the present to learn. Artist Nate Olin will be at the Cultural Center of Cape Cod tomorrow from 1 to 4 to teach you.
Nate's Family Art Lab is designed for those convinced they can't draw. He'll teach you the basic steps, and you'll learn to draw the human face and figure all on your own.
And thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
Tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Jamie Horton.
And I'm Maxie Davidson.